I was raised by a mom who was emotionally, physically, and verbally abusive. She was also very critical, impulsive, and jealous, and also used the word of God to manipulate me. She was extremely codependent, which meant that all of her things that she said, her efforts, everything was drawn at fulfilling this deep-seated mother wound that she actually had, which is why it's extremely important that we, if we consider having children, and even if you don't want to have children, that you heal this mother wound, because if not, you're going to use other people to fill it for you, and those relationships are never going to be satisfying like you want them to be. Now, I am no contact with my mom, and I have been for over a year. And although estrangement is not for everybody, it's not the case that needs to happen for everyone. We don't need that level of intensity for every single situation. It's how I have found peace, joy, and success. And I really value and thank you for your understanding and respect of my choice. I share a lot of my story on Instagram through meaningful posts, videos, content of that nature. But I also will be sharing it here because, as you can see, I've taken my talents to YouTube. And that brings me to the topic of this video. We're going to talk about 3 ways that you can combat criticism from your mom. Now, these tips that I'm going to share actually work in any relationship that you're in. However, it's very likely that you are responding to criticism in the way that you do because it's something that was present in your mother-daughter relationship. So whether you're estranged from your mom, whether she's passed away, whether you still interact with her, these tips are still going to be extremely useful for you. I always say that no contact does not mean no residue. So you can't just estrange and leave it there. That is not healing. There are steps that you have to take to heal. I share them with the women that are in my program and actually benefit from the curriculum that I've created, but I also give away a lot of meaningful content, like I said, on Instagram, here, pretty much anywhere that you find me at, you are gonna get some healing. So just make sure that you subscribe so that you do not miss any opportunities to heal. So criticism is not something that's new to me. And we're going to start this off with a little story time about some criticism that I'm facing in my life right now from being a public figure. Public figures are given a lot of exposure. People have exposure to their life and they think that they know them and that they can predict and analyze and all of these different judgments that they can place and project on us. So I've been experiencing a lot of criticism lately because of the fact that I've set boundaries with people. I obviously share some really, really personal information that is sensitive, and I do it because I'm using it as an illustration for you so that you can see how trauma has played itself out in your life. You're using my life as an example. It's really a helpful tool for those who will allow it to be. But because of the level of information that I have shared, people feel that they're my friend, they can send me their phone number, all these different infringes of boundaries happen. So recently I've communicated that I'm not anyone's friend. My attempts to build a relationship with you to help you overcome your trauma are fee-for-service based. They are confined within the container of a curriculum program or something of that nature. If you're my therapy client, you're that. All of those things come with boundaries. I won't come to your house. I'm not going to go to a kickback. All of these different things are just not going to happen. And the reason for that is because I don't want to be worshiped. You find all of these leaders, all these people who are thought leaders in particular categories who really do need their ego stroked. I do not need my ego stroked. I have a very stable ego. I have a great support system. I don't need anybody to tell me how wonderful I am, even though I really do appreciate the level of love and support that I have from the public. It's not something that is necessary for me, nor will I manipulate that or, dangle the potential for a personal relationship in front of people's face just so that they can purchase products or services from me. That's not something I'm going to do. Anybody who does that has absolutely zero integrity. And I needed to create distance because I was starting to feel unsafe in my business. It was to the point where I didn't really want to share anything else because people were getting the wrong idea about what my motives and attempts were. Now, the reasons for that are, if you are a person who has experienced trauma from your mom, your relationship with your mom, chances are codependency is something that you do. You trauma bond. Because of that, you might fall in love with the idea of people, what they can potentially do for you, not the reality of a specific situation. So there wasn't really anything I did to mislead these people, but just the fact that they felt seen, felt heard, things like that, especially in a category, an area that the world doesn't allow you to talk about. Moms being not good is a very taboo subject. Even therapists that you go to won't even, they skirt around it. They don't want to talk about it. They say things like, but that's your mom. You know, they really are ill equipped. So women find me and they see she really understands me. She gets it. She has something that I need, that I want. You know, the lifestyle that she lives, what she's created for herself, I want that. And I get a lot of people who are very curious about healing, but they are not willing to invest time, energy, or resources in doing the work. They, you know, vent, they spill the contents of their life onto me, and then there's nothing after that, you know, except for the fact that they want to continue to be able to vent. But when it comes to actually wanting to invest and get help, they're not really interested in that. So I was experiencing a lot of that, and I wanted to just put out a disclaimer to say, this is not what I'm about. I don't want fans. I never have. I never will. It's just not something I'm interested in. I'm interested in partnering with people to create transformations in their life. People who are ready and willing to do the work. Healing is the hardest fucking thing you will ever do. It is continual. It's not something you can do one time and stop. It's just like working out, where if you stop working out, you're going to start to get the body that you did not want and were running away from. So you have to hold on to healing and never let it go. And that's what I teach the women that I work with. And, you know, I give them strategies in order to heal and to combat these trauma manifestations that they have. And those are things that they are responsible for doing even after our work together is over. So I put that information out. I sent it in an email and to my entire mailing list. I also put it on Instagram. I did several posts about it. Now, there was a lot of feedback from people who were like, I really needed you to say that. Obviously, people are mature, who are sound, and see that I am attempting to protect you because you do not know how to protect yourself. You see me, you idolize me. I don't want that. I need you to be very clear that that is not what this is. So we had the mature group of people. I really valued the affirmation that I received from them because it shows that they are ready to do the work. They're not getting blinded by the fact that, and I hate this fucking word, but I'm an influencer, and you know, so many of us love influencers more than we love ourselves. And I'm sick of that shit. Like, I don't want to be an influencer. I am someone that will help you learn how to influence your own life, period. So I put that information out there. Now, I did receive backlash, and that's where the criticism comes in. I received nasty messages and emails and things like that from people. One that comes to mind that is, you know, kind of what I'm going to use as a framework for this video. Someone emailed me, and basically, this isn't verbatim, but what they said in the contents of the email was basically, do I even know you? Who are you? You're not important to me. You are very harsh, and you also sound like you really need to heal. And then they said, unsubscribe me from this mailing list, and that was that. Or from this mailing list that I never signed up for. So first of all, baby, you know how mailing lists work. I don't have your email unless you signed up in some way. How can I make up your email? I don't know. And it also was not like a gmail.com. It was very specific to whatever place this person works at or whatever the case may be. So this was nobody that I have like manufactured an email for. Secondly, since you read very thoroughly, then clearly you saw that there was a link at the bottom of the email to unsubscribe. So why didn't you do it? Since you know so much about me and read the email so great. Now, thirdly, you say that you don't know me. So how you know when I'm being harsh? Or what my tone sounds like? Or that I need healing? Doesn't everybody need more healing? So either way, I wrote back and I said, hey, there's a link to unsubscribe at the bottom of the email. But my ability to respond in such a okay manner, and I'm from the hood, like I'm from the trap, you know, we had it's shooting outside, and you have to like lay down on the floor, and you scared. Like to this day, every time I'm by a stoplight or a car drives too slow, like I get anxiety. I have PTSD. I've been clinically diagnosed with PTSD, and part of it is the community I grew up in, the family I grew up in. So it's in me. And it will come out if you push it enough. Probably. I don't know. Nobody's really pushed it enough in a while. But, you know, seeing that, being like tempted to say something back and then not doing it got me thinking. And it's like, okay, other than the fact that you grew up with an abrasive mom, which made you numb, and numb is not healing. I want y'all to know that. Numb is definitely not healing because there's something raw underneath the numbness. Think about a scar. But that's for another video. How are you responding in this way? So then I started thinking, and I was like, I have to share with them a system. Like, and that's what I do, is you're gonna experience no fluff content from me. And granted, if the content that I post for free is no fluff, then imagine what you would get if you actually work with me. Now, if you're working with somebody to heal your trauma, a trauma therapist, a trauma coach, whatever the case may be, trauma is very difficult to navigate with a coach if they're not a therapist, because they probably are not very equipped to do that. But that's your business, like Tabitha said. So I'm like, I gotta share this with them. I have to. And I recognize that so many of y'all are not receiving the tangible, practical tools that you need. So it's super important to me that I actually give that to you, because you're getting fluff from whoever you're talking to. They're just dancing around it, and there's nothing that you can hang on to. And I always use this example with my clients, but I want you to have a lifesaver, like something you can really hang on to and ride to shore. And a lot of these people that y'all are working with are just leaving you out in the middle of the ocean, and you just there, you're stranded. And they yelling, you know, they yelling from the shore, telling you stuff, saying things that make you feel all good, like you're not gonna drown, but your head is barely above water. So here I am to give you a lifesaver. And that is 3 ways that you can combat criticism, not just from your mom, but from other people. Although one of the examples that I'm gonna give you is specific to your mom. But I want you to think about, like, how can I use this in my other interactions that might be critical with people who are not my mom. So first thing is, your mom birthed you, but that is a big difference from knowing you. You have to ask yourself, and that's with anybody, is this person qualified to actually criticize me? Do they have the qualifications? Because chances are, especially when it comes to your mom, she hasn't known you since you were little. And even then, if she was abusive, neglectful, you know, enmeshed, codependent, if any of those things were going on, she probably didn't really even know you. She might know what you like to eat, if at all that, but she really didn't have any intimate knowledge about the inner workings of who you are, your character, your aptitude, your behavior, your personality, all of that. They were things that she wasn't aware of. So that's the first key, is I want you to ask yourself, is this person, is my mom really qualified to know me? Because if your mom is anything like my mom, she will use statements such as, I know you better than anybody else know you, to justify the claims that she's making about my attitude, my behavior, and my character. And the truth is, my mom has probably never known me. So I want you to keep that in mind as you're navigating criticism. Number 2, decide whether her feedback is constructive or destructive. And if it's constructive, then it's like, okay, this might be highlighting an area that I can actually work on. If it's destructive, the only intention of it is to hurt you, harm you, tear you down. Which, when we go back to the example that I provided you in story time, that's all that person wanted to do. It was a complete power struggle. Here I was at the beginning of the email saying, you might have realistic expectations of our relationship, but in the event that you don't, I just want you to know that we are not friends. The actual title of the email was, I'm not your friend. So this person felt demobilized and decided, you know what? You can't take something from me that I didn't even know I had or wanted. So they lashed out. It was power. They decided that they wanted to be destructive. It was nothing constructive that I could have taken from that. So it was completely a waste of time for me to even respond. So that's the second tip. I want you to think of that. Now, how do you do that? I'm going to provide you with 3 questions that you need to use in order to decide, is your mom being destructive or is she being constructive? Number 1, is she highlighting an area that I could work on? Or is she using this as an attempt to maintain control over our relationship or me? Number 2, is she delivering meaningful dialogue, Or is she using demeaning, cocky language that it would be best for me to not take personal? And number 3, is she tempting me to explode so I can prove her criticism's right? And then follow-up questions for that would be, how would I feel about myself if I play into this narrative? And how will I feel about myself if I don't? Chances are, just based on the work that I do, I'm an expert. You will feel empowered if you don't play into the narrative. And if you do, you're going to go on a cycle of self-hatred, self-pity, and resentment. So that means that you're going to start off disliking yourself. You're going to loathe yourself for what you did. Then you're going to feel sorry for yourself because she made you do it, which is going to move into you blaming her and also feeling resentful towards her. So you want to make sure that you're clear of those, because those emotions are, we all deserve to have the emotions that we have, but those emotions are unproductive. There's a difference between clean pain and dirty pain. Clean pain is like, I'm healing. I am processing things that hurt me. I'm digging deep into the recesses of my soul and my experiences to try to dig up things that make me triggered and act the way that I don't want to act. That's clean pain. Dirty pain is, I'm getting wound up into these really messy situations where lines are blurred and I'm saying things and a person is hurting me and we really don't know who's responsible for what. So that old adage that when you're arguing with a fool, you let them argue and you walk away, because then everybody can see who the fool is. And then thirdly, the third way that you can combat criticism from your mom or anybody else is to use I statements to disarm that person and advocate for yourself. So these I statements that I'm going to share with you are exclusive to your mom, but you can obviously reword them to fit a boss, a friend, a partner, whoever. The thing about I statements is that it presents the information in a way that attributes the feelings and what's happening to you, and it makes the person not be on the defensive. So if you want to have a productive conversation with somebody, or if you want to shut somebody up that just ain't possible of having a productive conversation with, this is the way to do it, because they don't have anything to say back. Like, there's nothing that we've given them to be defensive about, no ball that we've put in their court. So generally when you use I statements, you're going to get silence in return, or you're going to get maturity in return, and that's what we want. Number 1, the I statement is, I notice how confident you are in the things that you're saying about me. Help me be more confident if you kept them to yourself. That's that. Number 2 is, I always look forward to learning more about myself through our talks. Could we make it a ritual that before and after you tell me something that I could do better, you tell me something that I'm doing well? That is what we call the sandwich technique. Compliment, criticism, compliment. If your mom is like my mom, that level of maturity is going to bypass her and she just not going to say nothing. She ain't going to respond to you. And sometimes that's good. If you're dealing with a mom who is immature and unable to actually listen to the things that you're asking of her, then we have to demobilize and we want to silence that person. And then the third I statement that you can use to disarm your mom and advocate for yourself is, it catches me off guard and makes me feel like I'm not valuable to you when you say things like that. Could you warn me in the future if something you say might startle me or make me question myself? So you have watched this video. Like it, comment, subscribe to this channel to make sure, like I said, that you don't miss out on any opportunities to heal. There also, like I said before, is a link to follow me on Instagram. I have more meaningful content that is posted there. I will continue to post meaningful content here. And I also have a email address that you can email, which is my personal email address for my business, in the event that you want to work with me. So I look forward to seeing y'all next time. Bye.